Hello, my name is Brian of Hessens County, and I'm glad that you could join us again today for another TTRPG Talk. This series discusses tabletop role-playing games and related materials, suggests ideas for your own games, and takes a look at some of my own. Today, however, we're going to be continuing our SRD series looking at the 4 Points RPG system by Penflower Ink. As with most games, this is a setting-neutral system. However, we have covered one of the games that Penflower Ink has made using this system, that being the TTRPG Talk short recently released looking at Loot the Ploots. 4 Points is so named because its creator wanted a system built around player agency, narrative, characters, and customization. As part of this, the system has 2 options for character resolution. Players can decide to use either a guaranteed success by point system or testing their luck with dice to decide the outcomes of their actions. The point buy system utilizes 4 stat pools of energy points, each decided at character creation. These pools are associated with the character's skills in those areas and are called wits, stamina, dexterity, and sociability. Wits is used in actions involving wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge. Stamina is used for tests of strength, endurance, and determination. Dexterity is for actions relying on your character's speed, reflexes, and coordination, while sociability, as you might imagine, is used for things like confidence, charm, and charisma. As I mentioned previously, this point buy system guarantees success, but the number of points that are spent can affect that level of success. In a default action without any modifiers, a player would spend 1 energy point to barely succeed at doing something with some consequences, 2 energy points to succeed with a minor inconvenience, and 3 energy points to fully succeed without any problems. Advantages and disadvantages created by the scene's circumstances and character abilities, or actions that are deemed to be particularly difficult, can add or subtract from the energy point cost of the action as well. For default play without using the experience system that we will discuss later, your character will have 8d6 points distributed either by dice or after you roll, giving your character a statistical average of about 28 points over 4 stats. These can be recharged through in-game rest, just like many other TTRPG resource systems. These energy points are also important because they are the fuel for your powers in the 4 Points game. Powers are how your character can influence the world around them outside of actions. This could be magic, superpowers, using spirits, divine intervention, or one of many other manifestations of this concept to best fit your setting. As for die rolls, testing your luck is for when the character cannot afford the point cost or wants to save what they have for later. Here, you either fully succeed when you roll a 4 or better, or fail with consequences on a 3 or below. By default, this gives you a 50-50% chance of success. But advantages and disadvantages and difficulty can add or subtract from the die total, just as they did with the energy point cost. Your character in a 4 Points game is usually made up of your 4 stat pools, their folk, which in most other games would be referred to as a species or race or some other cultural division of people, that defines your character's inherent traits and abilities. 8 skills that give you advantages on certain actions, potentially powers, depending upon your system, their equipment, several goals to help drive story and provide rewards, and some bonds with other characters. Just an important note here about the skills. There is no defined skill list in default 4 Points. This is partly to best fit your setting, but it also provides agency for the players when creating their characters. However, Penflower Ink does suggest that you might want to create career kits that would include 4 of the 8 starting skills for the characters, or maybe some starting equipment. Penflower Ink also includes and actually recommends the use of an experience system with 4 points, which is quite good. It may already be somewhat familiar to those of you who have used life path character creation systems before, like as found in Star Trek Adventures or Travelers. Basically, the character starts off with between 6 to 10 experiences, or past events, depending on the character's rough age. These do not only build up your character's backstory, but it also provides dice for stat pool creation, skills, and the occasional advantage or disadvantage related to the event in question. An example of an event that Penflower Ink provides is having your character be forced to leave a military or law enforcement organization that they had been a part of. In addition to some flavor text, it mentions that this gives the character 1d6 to their wit or dexterity stat pools, skills at pretending to be a member of that former organization, and disadvantage on actions involving people who know about your dishonorable discharge. Other example experiences that are provided can demonstrate your character's criminal, political, religious, or intellectual history, their relationship with your setting's powers, as well as past jobs, technical, and travel experiences. Finally, the 4 points TTRPG system guide provides a list of suggested traits and abilities to best fit whatever type of folk you would like to populate your world with, running the gambit from bioluminescence to being amphibious or aquatic to modular body roles for mechanical beings. Outside of the system rules itself, the guide also provides a short but effective section giving advice and checklists for building out various elements mentioned previously to build your setting and NPCs to populate it. There is also a brief safety section that recommends the use of the Kiana Shaw and Lauren Bryant Monk's TTRPG Safety Toolkit Guide, which I'll put a link to below. Because if you haven't looked at that yet and you're making games, you really should. The guide on itch.io comes in both a text-only format and one with illustrations provided by Penflower Games that has a unified style but demonstrates the wide settings possible in play when you're using this tool. It also includes a one-page rules reference guide covering the basics of the action system, conditions, and resting. However, it can also be found on all of this can all be found on the Fuddy Games website as well. There is a 4 points logo, but Penflower Ink does not make it freely available through their itch page and instead requests that people ask for individual permission for its use. Presumably then they will also be sending you the file. Neither of the games that I have found from independent creators have actually utilized this 4-point logo, potentially because they might have been unaware that they were able and allowed to ask for permission as an option, because the permission that I was able to find, the statement requesting permission, was actually found on the basically the licensing page of the RPG system itself, buried down here in the text. So you might, it's not very surprising if you missed it. 4 points does not have as large of a following or community as other recent indie ARP systems like Lumen or Breathless, though its range of games and creators is growing. Overall, I think that 4 points is a versatile system that would be potentially useful for a creator who likes to dabble in multiple genres. It is definitely for people who like to create narrative-based games, particularly those that focus on non-combat related themes. If you would like to discuss it further, please feel free to comment below. Links to the SRD, along with other items that I mentioned previously, will be found in the description of this video, as always, along with a link to Penflower Ink's own site that features a number of products that they create for other TTRPGs as well, like D&D 5e character sheets and all kinds of things like that. Thank you all very much for joining us. Now, go out and create the world of your dreams. And remember to rate your itch purchase. If you'd like to see more material on this topic, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel or check out the blog at hessenscounty.com.